Greetings comic book fans and welcome to my comic book reviews for the third week of May 2015. We have 19 books to review this week. The order we're going to go in, I'm going to review the indie books first, then we're going to have DC comics, then it's going to be the Marvel books, then I'll do my pick of the week and we'll end this bad boy with the company of the week. So without further ado, let's get into those reviews. So we're starting with the indie books this week. We've just got 4 books to review. And first up we're going to go with Valiant Comics, as we have Ninjak issue number 3. This for me was the best issue of the series thus far. Basically Ninjak is kind of this spy, and he's trying to infiltrate this organisation called Weaponeer, and they make weapons for anyone who wants them. And people can come up with crazy ideas, and they'll make, if you've got the money, they'll make the weapon for you. The only member of this group they know of is this guy called Cannon. The rest of the group are secret. So Ninjak has to infiltrate this group to get who they are. And so for 2 issues it's him trying to kind of ingratiating himself to Cannon and getting in with this group. So this issue, he's drugged Cannon and he was trying to access their computers to see if they could find out something about these other members. And he runs into Cannon's bodyguard, this character called Roku, and they end up going through a window. So this whole issue is kind of, he's a race against time. He's got to get back to Cannon before he wakes up from the drugs he gave him. But he's got to fight off Roku and then fight himself way through security and stuff. Really good. I liked how they done it, because by like setting this time that he's got to get back to Cannon for, it really added to the tension of the story. We get another flashback scene to him as a kid, and that story is becoming more interesting. The first issue kind of rolled my eyes at that part of the story, thinking, oh, we go, a young rich boy who's brought up by his butler. Oh god, I wonder where we've seen that before. So I kind of rolled my eyes, but it's becoming much more interesting as this is going on. So yeah, I'm really enjoying the whole package of that first story. We then have our backup, which is the Lost Files, which is like the early days of Ninjak. He ain't even Ninjak yet, he's just an ordinary spy. And last issue we saw him, he was supposed to assassinate somebody in Mumbai, but it didn't go right because he thought it was going to be a man and it turned out to be a woman, and he was so surprised he couldn't go through with it. So this issue we followed through on that, and the fallout and the kind of revelation we had at the end of that story. And again, this is really good. I'm really enjoying that just as much as the main bit. And I like as well that we have 2 different artists for the 2 different parts, that the Lost Files is done by different artists to what the main part of the book is. I think that works really well in differentiating them. All in all, this was a really good issue of Ninjak, one I've enjoyed the most so far, and I give Ninjak issue number 3 5 stars out of 5. So now, kicking it along till we go to Titan Comics now with Doctor Who, 10th Doctor Adventures, issue number 10. For me, I think this has been the best of the Doctor Who books consistently. And this issue we kind of get a one and done story, as the Doctor takes Gabby home after everything they went through the Weeping Angels. She just wants to check in with family and make sure everybody's okay. And they get there just as like there's this noise that's going on that's kind of paralysing people, and of course the Doctor is on the case. I liked how it turned out to be and the whole kind of story. It reminded me, there was an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine in their first season that this reminded me of, where they have this guy turn up and he's been hunted by these other people. So yeah, it did kind of made me think of that. But I enjoyed this. I thought it was an interesting story. It was a lot of fun. Art was good. There wasn't really nothing bad. It's not going to blow your socks off, but yeah, it was good. If you enjoy Doctor Who, you'll enjoy this one and done story. And I give Doctor Who 10th Doctor issue number 10 4 stars out of 5. Moving right along now to the 11th Doctor issue number 12. And we're still in the same story we've been in since issue 1, and I'm kind of a bit bored with this now. I'm not that big into the characters of Ark and Jones, and that whole kind of thing is just becoming a bit of a mess to me. I can't really, I thought we beat these people already, but because it's going through time and it's like, oh. In saying that, the art in this issue is really good, and also I like the developments. The cliffhanger at the end is really good. I liked that, and where we kind of go with the story is good. I just wish the story was over already. So that kind of soured me to anything that was good in this issue. So I'm going to give Doctor Who 11th Doctor Adventures 3 stars out of 5. So our final indie book this week, and we're going to end on a high note, is Wytches issue number 6. Really enjoyed this book. It ran me very close for my pick of the week, so I really enjoyed this. The story just takes a crazy turn. Just as you think, kind of things are going to go on an upswing now. We get a crazy revelation, and I'm just like, whoa. Really good, at times disturbing, but a really good story. Again, we have an essay in the back from Scott Snyder, which I thought was fantastic, and I'm loving the essays that he's putting in these, and I think it's well worth buying the book just for the essays alone, even though you get a fantastic story with it. Again, my only gripe would be the art, and it's not so much the art, it's the colouring. There's the bit at the beginning where they're escaping from the Wytches, and they get lost, and I felt that like the splotches of colour they put over it was good in that moment. Here's the scene, they're lost, so I felt that it adds to your confusion because you've got these splotches on, so you kind of empathise with what they're going through, and I thought in that bit. But to have it throughout the whole book, I didn't see the point of that. I felt just have it at moments where they're in the Wytches' place and they're a bit lost and they're a bit disorientated. It helps bring across that. But to have it throughout the whole book, I felt was too much. And that's my only gripe, and that's the only thing that kind of, for me, stopped it from being a pick of the week. But otherwise, this was a fantastic issue. Definitely well worth checking out. They should be bringing out the trade soon with all 6 issues. Image are usually pretty quick at that. But yeah, really love this. I'm going to give Wytches issue number 6 5 stars out of 5. So that's the indies done. Next up, we're sticking with Convergence. Another Convergence week. It's over to DC. So 6 DC books this week for us to go through, as we have the penultimate week of Convergence. So first off, we're going to kick things off with Convergence, Batman and the Outsiders, issue number 2. I really enjoyed this. One of the problems with the Convergence books is they're quite formulaic because they only have certain time to tell the story, but the story has to follow the same beats. And some writers execute this better than others. And Drake, the writer, whose first name I cannot recall, I've just had a total blank on his first name, so I want to get this right. Mark Andreyko, who writes this, does a fantastic job with this. He gets a story across for each of the characters, showcases their personalities and their power sets, while at the same time having this central battle that they have to come together to fight. And the way that they end it, like one of the difficulties is that they end on a non-finish, but he executes it probably as good as you can. Art as well is done by Carlos de Anda, and I did really like the art. I thought it was really well done. Again, you can never find a full page spread when you want one. So anywho, so we're getting into the book, and like I said, the art is really good. Really enjoyed the story. Olmec seems a really interesting character. I understand that's a Jack Kirby book, so I'm going to put that on my list of books I want to get. We then have this bit, halfway through the book, you get this bit, the new DC Universe, and it's a nice little bit that kind of goes through what DC are going to do from now on, and what's coming up from them in the next month. And I thought it was a nice thing to put in. I just wish they had decided to put it in at the end where they put the preview in, because you get a nice checklist as well. I wish they'd put it in at the end because I found it distracting there, and I kind of had to go back to it, and I think it would have been better placed at the end of the book. We also get a sneak peek at Batman Beyond, which is the new book coming out, and it looks like it's going to carry on the Future's End story. The art to it looks nice as well. I liked it. Let's have a look who's going to do the art. And, oh, it's written by Dan Jurgens, art by Bernard Chang, with colour by Marcello Mialo. Oh god, I think I butchered that. Maiolo, who usually works with Sorrentino, but he was working with Chang. So a really good creative team on that Batman book. The big surprise is it's going to be Tim Drake, like at the end of Future's End. He's going to be the Batman Beyond now. So that would suggest to me that they're carrying on the story from Future's End, which is going to be interesting because the way that finished, we hadn't got to the end yet. We felt like that was just starting a story, like, you know, that was like the prologue. So that makes me want to check it out a little bit more, because I enjoyed Future's End until the disappointing conclusion. But anyway, getting back to this book, really great, loved it. I mean, they executed everything about as well as you could, and I'm going to give Convergence, Batman and the Outsiders, issue number 2, 5 stars out of 5. So next up we have Convergence, Justice League of America, issue number 2. The thing I really liked about this issue is how the lesser heroes have to kind of step up, and they have to try and save the days themselves, and the whole thing of being a hero is kind of brought into focus. And some of these characters I was quite interested by. And I liked how it was written. I thought they did a real good job. And it was really cool seeing our mainstream heroes show up at the end. Was really good, and I liked how they ended this. Again, this was another one that ended well, and I liked that. In the back we have Divergence, Batman, Superman, which kind of gives us a glimpse, and Superman's no longer got his powers, and so like I'm really curious what's happened to him. And like, of course, Clark and Bruce go way back, they've got a real kind of romance going on, whereas the new Batman doesn't have any kind of relationship with Superman. So it's going to be interesting how that's going to work. What's happened to Superman? Why doesn't he have his powers anymore? There's all these questions, so that's one I will be checking out. The main book I enjoyed. You know, it was good. It did, you know, the whole thing for these books has been kind of to get any kind of depth, because they've had to be so quick moving. I will say one thing: was Vicky Vale always such a cow? Because she really comes across badly in here. I didn't like her character at all. But overall I enjoyed the book. I'm going to give Justice League of America issue number 2 4 stars out of 5. So next up we have Convergence, the New Teen Titans. This was another book I really liked. I've dropped Teen Titans from my list now, because going back and reading these Convergence books and seeing the old team and how good they were, I'm like, I can't read this anymore. You know, I'm disappointed. I want the old team back. The central story here is it's Starfire and Nightwing, as they're in like a relationship, but they're kind of different ideologies. Nightwing is the very much you'd never kill, and Starfire is like, sometimes you've gotta kind of eliminate your enemies. You can't just let them go swanning about. So that's the core of the whole story, and it just so happens that they're on this planet battling for their lives, where the rules are different, and maybe you have to be more extreme, but Nightwing's still sticking to his principles. I really like the characters here. I thought Nightwing made a really good leader and a really step up guy, and I really liked his character and where he was coming from. I also really liked Starfire. I thought she was really interesting. You know, the friendship between Cyborg and Beast Boy was really cool, and there was a real depth to their relationship. I really like Donna Troy, and I think the DC universe is a lot poorer without her in it. She was a really good character, as well as she kind of was like the one everybody goes through for help and support. So yeah, overall I really enjoyed the characters in this book, and I think that was the thing for me that made it. And again, they just told a story, but it happened to be set in Battle World. However, and again, you know, they end it as good as they can. At the back we have Divergence. Robin, son of Batman, is a kind of bit at the back. Patrick Gleason's doing the art and the writing for this, so that's going to be interesting. I wasn't going to pick that up, but looking at it, I might try it the first issue. Overall, I enjoyed this, and you know, I'm going to miss this version of the Teen Titans, and I'll definitely probably be looking at them in trade at some point in the future, because I really like this version of the team, and I'm going to give Convergence, the new Teen Titans, issue number 2, 4 stars out of 5. So next up we have Convergence, Swamp Thing, issue number 2, and Swamp Thing teams up with the vampire Batman to take out all these other vampires. I really liked that, like, the book, as like it feels like it's a book that was written years ago rather than a modern book, and I think they get the vibe of these characters really well, and the art works for it as well. So yeah, I was really impressed with this. I thought it did what it needed to do really nicely. Again, it's not a story that's going to blow you away, but it was entertaining, and I like at the end they kind of end it best they can. The Divergence bit is Catwoman, which I didn't read because I've never read Catwoman. She's not a character that I've ever been that interested in. I like her in Batman just because I like her interactions with Batman, and she's an interesting character in that regard, but I don't want to read her off by myself. But yeah, Convergence, Swamp Thing, I enjoyed this. I'm going to give it 4 stars out of 5. So our penultimate book from DC is Convergence, The Flash. He's battling Superman from Earth 9, and what we get is very much, yeah, they have some fighting, but mostly it's the two characters really talking and discussing what's going on here and what their courses of actions are, and I liked that. You wouldn't want every book to be like this, but I like that they try to do something a bit different, and where we end up as well, I thought was interesting. My one gripe is, you know, with all this going on, why does he go home at the end? Wouldn't you go to the other worlds and see if you can help or do something? In the back we have Divergent Suicide Squad, which didn't really do anything to win me over. It just, yeah, it didn't do nothing at all. None of the characters really grabbed me and wanted to see what happens next to them. But the main story, I enjoy. Like I say, I applaud them to try something different, and I give Convergence, The Flash, issue number 2, 4 stars out of 5. So our final DC book of the week, it is Convergence, issue number 7, the penultimate issue, and things have really started to pick up. First things first, I loved there was this like double page spread near the beginning. Here we are. I just spent time just looking at this. It's brilliant. I wouldn't mind having that as a wallpaper for my laptop. Really, really good. The gist of this issue is Telos, the planet, is turning up in the New 52 universe, and all their heroes are like, what should we do? Meanwhile, on Telos, the heroes are battling the villains until it's all kind of figured out that Deimos is going to destroy anyone everywhere, so everybody then teams up to battle Deimos. I did get a very kind of Secret Wars vibe, because how Deimos is in here reminded me very much of Doctor Doom in the original Secret Wars. The way Doctor Doom tries to steal the Beyonder's power, and the way here that Deimos is trying to steal Telos' power. I liked it. There was a nice flow to the issue. It built nicely, and where we end up, I'm really interested in how that's all going to be resolved next week. But yeah, this was really good. Really good issue. Art was really good. This is the first issue I'm going to give Convergence, issue number 7. It's the first issue I'm going to do this with. I'm going to give it 5 stars out of 5. So those are the DC books. Next up, let's go Marvel. So finally, we're down to Marvel. We've got 8 books to review. I'm going to kick things off with the non-Secret Wars books, and then we're going to do the Secret War books at the end. So first up we have Star Wars issue number 5. I really enjoyed this again. Really great issue. Jason Aaron is really kind of capturing the Star Wars magic. I love the banter between Han and Leia. It feels so authentic. We've got Luke who's going off to Tatooine to try and learn how to be a Jedi, because he didn't really know much about being a Jedi, and Obi-Wan Kenobi is gone, so now he needs to find his own way. So he goes back to Tatooine. Meanwhile on Tatooine we've got Boba Fett who's going around beating people up, trying to find out more about this Luke Skywalker, this pilot of this ship, so that blew up the Death Star. So that's all really interesting. Some real badass moments from Boba Fett. The art this issue, I feel Cassidy is on top form, does a really great job art wise. There are some really good moments. I still love how like the recap page is in that style. I think that's really cool. Yeah, the art itself I think is really good. Really, overall, I just really enjoyed this. Every issue so far has been a real treat, and I give Star Wars issue number 5 stars out of 5. So next up we have Uncanny X-Men issue number 34. I believe this is the penultimate issue. Next issue we're going back to the other number. It's going to be issue 600, which I don't know what's going on there. I really enjoyed this issue. It's a lot of dialogue, but that's what Bendis writes best, so I don't mind so much. And there is some action near the end, but it's much more, you know, dialogue heavy, but it works the way that, because that is what Bendis does best, and it works really well here, and it's really interesting, and the revelation when we get into it is really good. It's a very Dazzler centric issue, bringing kind of her getting some closure on what Mystique done to her earlier in the series. So that's really cool, and we get to catch up with Mystique and see what's going on there. So that was brilliant. And at the end, the young characters that have been put together in this book, they're making decisions for themselves, and I'm really interested in where that's going to go next issue. All in all, this was a real treat, and I'm going to give issue 34 of the Uncanny X-Men 4 stars out of 5. We then have Daredevil issue number 15.1. I don't know why they felt the need to bring this out. Basically, it's like they're putting Daredevil's memoirs together, and they relive an old story from early days where he takes down this guy that he thinks is a killer that has just shot someone, and then he has to defend them in court, and he finds that they're innocent and that he's took down the wrong guy, that he kind of jumped to conclusions. And so yeah, I really liked this, and the whole lawyer side of it was really fascinating, and the story itself was really good. Then we get a second story with Diablo and this drug that kind of affects your senses that he's made. So yeah, I felt as the issue went on, it kind of ran out of steam, and you kind of question at the end of it, while the first story was good, what was the overall point, especially when they're charging $4.99. It's not like this is something we need to read to get what's going on. So yeah, I was a bit disappointed with this. It really, like I say, it really did run out of steam, and I'm going to give Daredevil issue 15.1 3 stars out of 5. Next up we have Deathlok issue number 8. This was brilliant. I really enjoyed this. This series is just getting better and better. All the elements are coming together. What happened with Domino, that's coming in. The former Deathlok, that's coming in. Deathlok trying to take it to biotech, that's really heating up. So much here that is just brilliant. What's going on with S.H.I.E.L.D. and yeah, it was just brilliant. The art as well by Perkins just remains really good. And I like how the different scenes, I like here you got S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm sorry, here you've got S.H.I.E.L.D. and this is Deathlok battling another kind of Deathlok that works for biotech and that they're using to take him out. And I like how they differentiate the scenes with the different colours in the background. But yeah, really enjoying this book. It's been a real treat. A book I wasn't expecting that much of, but that I've really enjoyed and has been really consistent. And I give Deathlok issue number 8 5 stars out of 5. So now we're getting into the Secret Wars books for the final 4 books of my review. Next up we have Deadpool Secret Wars issue number 1. I liked this as a premise. Deadpool is a character I can read in short bursts. I can't read an ongoing, it's too much Deadpool for me. But I can read a mini now and then, and I can enjoy the character. In here, he's put into the original Secret Wars, and we see the effect he has on it. Colin Bunn, who writes this, often uses the thing of like going backwards and forth in time, having flashbacks to the past and stuff, to the present, and usually it works well. Like in Magneto, it's worked very well, and it kind of underpins the story with a theme that we're going through, or something that is kind of the character needs to take from this. Here, I just found it confusing. I would have much preferred this story went in chronological order, and we got to see more things from what Deadpool was doing and how he's affected things. And yeah, I was thinking there's a lot more that they could do here, and they haven't as yet. The other big gripe that really annoyed me is the backup, which is like this contest of champions, which I think it's like that was like the first Marvel event. We have a bonus round, contest of champions, and I was like, I'm buying it, so I paid $4.99 and you're giving me a bonus book. How's it a bonus if I paid $4.99? It had nothing to do with the main story, and I just didn't enjoy that. Even though it does give us She-Man thing and some great Howard the Duck moments, I just wasn't feeling it. The main story, like I say, I think they used Deadpool really well in this, and it was cool because like the original Secret Wars is one of my favourite all-time stories. Like I say, I wish the story had been more in order than all broken up. But hopefully it will get more of that next issue, and I'm going to give Deadpool Secret Wars #1 3 stars out of 5. So these are the actual books of Battleworld now. We have Planet Hulk, issue #1. We are introduced to the Captain and Devil Dinosaur this issue, and that they're trying to find the Captain's friend, Bucky Barnes. But then we've got this island of Hulks, which is just awesome. And they've got this Red King there, which is like a Red Hulk. And the Captain has to go there because that's where Bucky is. And he needs to free these people, take down these Hulks, and then he'll be able to save his Bucky. I really enjoy this. It really set things up nicely. The art I really liked. I thought was just throughout was really good. And I liked some of the things were like nice callbacks to the original Planet Hulk. We do get a backup in here. It's a $4.99 book with a backup. Usually that would drive me cranky, but it's called Amazing Science, and it kind of introduces why there was this planet of Hulks that this island has been taken from, and I liked that. I thought that was really good the way they explained it. So all in all, I really enjoyed this, and I'm going to give it 5 stars out of 5. Another book I really enjoyed is one of the Battleworld books. It is Master of Kung Fu, issue #1. They do a really great job with this issue, in that they set up the story, they give you all of this history into how, you know, how this world fits in, and the history of this world, and then you kind of are thrown straight into the story, following this drunk Shang-Chi and how he kind of stands up to the bad people, and real kind of kung fu kind of story. I really enjoyed it, really great, and the end, definitely I'm really interested to see where it's going to go. I really enjoyed this. I came into it hoping it was going to be good. I went away very satisfied. Really great world building first issue, laying down the groundwork. I'm going to give Master of Kung Fu #1 5 stars out of 5. So our final Marvel review this week, it is Spider-Verse issue #1. I was a bit disappointed with this. By the end of Spider-Verse, I was a bit Spider-Versed out, but I thought, you know what, I'll give this a go, because there were some interesting characters, but I don't know, it just didn't work for me. I know these characters are all supposed to have been on this planet and had lives on this planet, but I don't know, it just didn't click. It was like there's a good story here trying to get out, but all the variable parts just didn't click. The art at times as well, I wasn't keen on. So yeah, all in all, I was a bit disappointed with this. However, I like where the story's moving to. I think it sets up what's going on well, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of everything that's going on. It does set it all well, and we have like the backup at least as well, kind of sets where the story's going, sets up a character we meet at the end of the main story. Yeah, but I'm hoping this is going to get better. I'm going to give Spider-Verse issue number 1 3 stars out of 5. So now I've reviewed all my books, just got one book left to review. That book is my pick of the week. So yeah, my pick of the week for the 3rd week of May 2015 is Bloodshot Reborn issue number 2. This was the issue I was hoping we'd get with the first issue. This was excellent. We've got our original Bloodshot Ray dealing with the fact that he's no longer got these nanites in his body, but he's like seeing things, and it's like he's trying to grapple for control of his sanity, and while at the same time figuring out what's going on. We're introduced to some new characters who are on the case of this killer, Bloodshot killer, who killed all these people in the cinema. Ray's also on the case, not working with them but independently because he feels a responsibility, and we find out why this other guy's got the Bloodshot symbol. And the book is going in a really interesting direction, and in 2 issues LeMay has done a great job with setting up where this is going to go. Art wise as well, I really liked this. It's just great how we have, like, you know, the characters with him that he's kind of seeing in his head. Is really good, because like you got blood squirt down here, which is really good. Also, another thing I wanted to mention is the recap page in the Valiant books is really good. If you miss an issue, you get caught up really well. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. This was just a really excellent book. Really sets up an interesting direction for the series on a number of levels, and I'm really excited to see where it's going to go. This is Jeff Lemire on top form, and I give Bloodshot Reborn issue number 2 my pick of the week for the 3rd week of May 2015. Well, we've made it to the end of the video, and that can mean only one thing. It means it's time to find out who is the company of the week. And we've got a tie this week. It's a joint tie. In 2nd place with 4.3 is Marvel Comics. Secret Wars week for them, and you know, they came out of it 2nd place. But joint 1st with an average rating of 4.4, so it was very close this week. We have the Indys and DC Comics with that rating of 4.4. Wow. It shows that this week I think was a better week for the Convergence books. They were better, but also there weren't as many indie books. So yeah, so that's that done. Excuse me. So I think that's pretty much everything I've got to say. I will be back hopefully over the weekend with a review video for the 4th week of May. So please look out for that. I've also got a Tumblr now, so if you want to see what my reviews are as I read my books, what I think of them as I read them, that's a good place. I don't review every book, but it's a good place to go because I'll review some of the books that I've read, so you'll get kind of an inkling of what I'm feeling about books. And if you're interested in that, if you go to my main page on YouTube, there's a link to the Tumblr thing you can click on there. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I've got to say. I'm a bit hungry now, so I'm going to go and get myself something to eat and then read some comics. It's got to be done. So anywho, thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy what I've done here today, please give me those beautiful thumbs up. All leaves me to say is I've been Jason. This has been my comic book reviews. Bye for now.